entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Sidney Spencer. Oh my
gosh. Hey Sidney, I love that you're here. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm a little biased. So when I saw in your bio that you're from, the whole Florida thing, I was like, wait a minute, she's got a little Floridian. Okay. But I love that, all the places you've been and where Cleveland, Ohio native, but you Southern roots. I'm like, wow. And then you went to Tampa, Florida for all this other stuff. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm from Florida. I'm like, okay, love this. So tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like growing up, and kind of how did you find your way into doing the things that you're doing now?
Yeah, so pretty much I always tell people, and I mean, from my memory, I had a great childhood. And nothing really bad happened. Grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, two parents household. My mom at the time growing up when we were super young, she was kind of in corporate America, so she would be home more so like in the evening. My dad worked overnights. He was a paramedic at the time, but my dad would be with me and my older sister. Me and her, Kai, we're 2 years apart. So it was just originally me and Kai at first, and super easy childhood. Went to school. Our dad would take us to school, bring us back home. They kept us active. We were always either in gymnastics, ballet, playing softball. They just kept us active, kept us doing things. My dad would always take us on bike rides around our neighborhood that we lived in Cleveland. Just super fun. So that's pretty much just how it was growing up, just always active, always doing stuff with my parents, my older sister. And like I said, growing up, it was just us two until they had my younger sister. I think they had her when I was in fourth or fifth grade.
Oh,
so that
nice.
was a difference. That's when I became the middle child. I was always the baby, and I became the middle child. But I have two sisters now. So like 3 girls. We have my dad and my mom. So my dad's just in the house with nothing but girls. And then at the time we had a girl cat too. So that's just how I was growing up. Very super easy, just a very traditional, simple lifestyle. Just growing up. What intrigued me just regarding getting into news and reporting is because that also happened during my childhood. Growing up, like I said, we spent time together so much with my parents. We would just come home when my mom would come home after work. They would always just keep on the news. So growing up, I just remember watching Channel 19 in Cleveland, Fox 8, Channel 3, Channel 5, all 4 stations. Just sitting in the living room on the couch with my parents, watching TV with them, and I kind of was just interested, and I just would see the reporters on the screen, and I'm like, hey, I wish I could do something like that.
Nice.
And then the difference, what I knew I could do it, but I've always been an introvert. So I've always been very shy, especially as a kid. I was always super shy. And I think I get that from my dad because my mom's more the extrovert one. My dad's very shy as well. But I would just sit there and watch, and I would just think like, hey, I want to do something like that. I wish I could just talk like that and just be on camera and just talk and tell people information and or just simply read like to an audience. I always just kind of admired that, but I just didn't know how I could go about doing so because, like I said, always kind of shy and just more to myself. I didn't open up very easily. So it was just something in the back of my mind, watching TV with my parents, watching the news with them. And then I would say about middle school, that's when I was just like, hey, I actually kind of want to look into this. So I actually, I tell people what really prompted me to start looking into broadcast journalism or looking into TV news. I remember I was sitting at home and I was like in middle school watching Basketball Wives. And then it was I think her name was like Susie. I don't remember. It was either Susie or something. She had brunette hair. And it was like the early seasons of it. And she was talking about broadcast journalism. She was saying like it was just a episode or a scene. They were like getting brunch or dinner or something. And she was talking to another cast member and she was saying, yeah, I think I want to pursue broadcast journalism. I think I want to be on TV. And I remember I just walked over to our family computer and I searched it. I said broadcast journalism. And then
Mm,
it popped up news reporting and stuff. I said, "Oh, that's exactly what I want to major in when I get to college." So that's what really kind of pushed me.
I
I
love
don't know.
that.
It just didn't click what the name of it was until I started watching Basketball Wives, and I was like, "That's what I need to study in college." So
Mm,
yeah, but
that's
yeah, very simple. Growing up, always into sports, doing something. Like I said, my parents kept us active. They kept us outside.
yeah.
If we weren't at school, we watched TV, but they just kept us going,
I
kept us
love that.
doing stuff.
And I think that
Yeah,
that's a big part of, when children have supportive parents. I feel like
hmm
it starts there, right? When you have a parent that is supportive, that's around, it also definitely helps. And usually you're gonna do something pretty productive and creative, as you
yeah,
go out
yeah,
into the world.
yeah.
Which
And
is
this industry is very creative too. You have to tell.
I'm sure. Have you experienced in this in yeah, just when you were starting and in the journey, did you ever feel kind of discouraged along the way? Because I mean, I'm sure there's so many people that you meet and you're like, well, because obviously nothing happens over time. And everything happens over time, but nothing happens over.
Yes, yes,
So I mean, did you ever have those moments?
plenty of moments. It's crazy because I'm still young, so. But I
Yeah,
would
you
say,
are. It's amazing.
yeah, it like 'cause when I graduated high school. I've always known I wanted to major in broadcast journalism. From the moment, like I said, I discovered in middle school. The first school I went to was Western Kentucky University, and I instantly majored in broadcast journalism when I got there. I decided to attend that school because I heard they had a great broadcasting program, which I believe they still do. But I went there, majored in broadcast my freshman year, and instantly, I would say after my freshman year, I got accepted into their broadcasting program. I think the second semester of my freshman year, that was a good sign, because I don't think that happened so quickly for most people. And being that I was still a freshman, it was like I don't think they accept at the time WKU. I don't believe they accepted students into that program until around like your junior year. At least that's what I heard. So I was, very excited about that. I was hyped. So I'm like, okay, well, this is a good thing, a good sign.
Hmm.
So going into my sophomore year, I attended WKU fall 2017. Yeah, fall 2017. And I was getting ready to start those classes for the broadcasting program. But at the time, my family was kind of going through like a financial thing where we kind of transitioned. We left Cleveland, Ohio, moved to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I was going to school at WKU. So it was kind of like a switch. And like I said, we were going through like a financial hardship moment during that time. So I ended up I thought I was going to return to WKU that spring semester. So it will be spring 2018, I believe.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, I had to sit out a semester due to finances. I think I still owed like $3,000 before I could come back. And my parents, they just didn't have it at the time. So uh, that was very discouraging. And I was like, okay, well, I know I want to be this, but I don't really have the money. My family doesn't really have the money. So I'm like, how are we going to come up with this? But I would say my parents, they worked very hard, especially my dad. He did not want to disappoint me because he knew I had a goal and a dream.
Yeah.
So and we prayed, we're very in tune with God. So we prayed throughout that process, and my dad was able to pay that off. I just had to sit out the semester for the spring. So from January until that summer, I was out of school. My dad paid it off and he was able to get my transcripts. So because we were here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama at the time, the University of Alabama is here. And before I was so hesitant to go, I was like, I do not want to go to the University of Alabama. It's too big, too many people. It's too hot in Alabama. And I was just like, what is Alabama known for? Just football. or do they even have a good broadcasting program? What am I going to learn? But my dad was just like, it's just going to be easier on us financially for you to transfer here. So that's what I ended up doing. I was working during the time that I was sitting out the semester. I worked at like a little small yogurt place and the movies here as well. So I saved some money, ended up transferring to Bama, went there fall 2018, and then I majored in news media with a minor in political science. Went to school there, did what I needed to do. So I would say me having to sit out was the first moment of discouragement because I was like, okay,
Mm,
well, how am I going to pursue this if I can't finish school? So
sure.
then I ended up going to Alabama. That gave me a little bit more hope. I'm like, okay, I'm back in school. I can continue to pursue my career.
Mm-hmm,
While
mm-hmm.
I was there, I would say I finished off my sophomore year. Going into my junior year, I think I was fine. But towards the end of my junior year, it was spring 2020. So this is the semester that COVID hit. So,
Mm.
everything was kind of rough. The semester started off fine, and then everything just kind of quickly changed. But that semester, spring 2020, I took a class. It was like a JCM, it was a journalism class. They called it JCM, some like whatever number class it was. And I had a professor that was a little, I don't know. Let's just say I don't know if he liked me.
Okay.
So
Oh
yeah,
no.
it was one of those things where I don't know what the issue was, but it was kind of like it was already a hard semester because COVID was hitting, and then it was kind of a class where I don't think he really cared for me. So I would literally stay after class asking like, "Hey, what could I do to get better?" Because it was one of those classes where it was hands on and they were teaching us how to be on camera and like how to write scripts and things. And yeah, I mean, I did need a little learning. Obviously, you start somewhere, but I would
Mhm.
stay after class and I would say, "Hey, what can I do to get better?" And it was just really wasn't anything to help. So I just kind of worked hard, but it just felt like every time I tried to get better, everything that I did to get better, it wasn't good enough. So that
Mm.
was very discouraging. During that time, I would cry
Oh.
almost every week when I got an assignment back and I didn't get the best score because this was a class that you needed to graduate. So I was just like, it was just very discouraging. That semester was, but fortunately, I was able to pass the class
That's great.
somehow, probably by the grace of God. I don't know. But I passed the class. But that moment, I would say that class and just that moment, I've definitely had times where I was just in my mind like, God, is this something that you don't want me to do? Because
Mm.
it's just kind of like I'm hitting rock bottom and I'm being told every which way this isn't good enough, or in a sense, you're not good enough. So maybe you just need to retake this, or maybe this is not the route for you. Because you got to think about it. At this time, I was still very shy too.
Mm. Hmm.
I didn't become this extroverted person until I got into the industry, which was 2 years later. So
Yeah.
I was still
Yeah.
very shy, but that's another reason why I was like, well, maybe they just, this professor doesn't see me doing it because I am so shy. Maybe he's just like, well, she's just too shy. She's just too quiet. She's too soft spoken. Maybe this is a moment for her to redirect her vision of what she wants to do
Sure.
in her career. So I kind of gave them grace in that regard because I am shy and introverted. But
How did you get
the,
out of that, if I may ask, like that kind of shyness? Because I didn't like I saw you, in your zone, in the element, and you were doing amazing. I was like, holy crap.
yes, girl, it took some years. I would say pretty much because this industry, this job, this career, naturally you have to be a talker because that's what
Yeah.
we do. You naturally have to walk up to strangers. My first job straight out of college, I worked at 44 News in Evansville, Indiana. So I MMJ'd there. I was a multimedia journalist. I didn't work with a photographer. I was by myself. It was me and a camera. So
Mm.
we would have stories where we needed people to interview for those stories, and we called that MOS, or mouth on street, or um, man on street. Pretty much is just you walk up to them and say, "Hey, working on a story regarding this. I need to hear from the community. Do you have a thought or an opinion on this?" So doing that, having to do that really pushes you to not be shy anymore because you have to walk up to strangers. And what kind of got me out of my bubble was thinking, like, when I walk up to these people, they're just as scared of me as I am of them walking up to them. So I have to put myself in their shoes and realize, like, they're probably shy too. Like, why is this girl walking up to me asking me this question? So while I'm in my head being shy, it's just like, just do it. So
Yeah.
that's what got me out of my little shell of being shy.
I love that. No, I
Yeah.
think that's beautiful. I love it. I mean, I don't know if when I saw you, I was like, oh, I gotta. I don't know. I just like I gotta talk to her, like
Wanted to
immediately.
talk.
Like I was like beeline. I was like, I'm very direct, and but I couldn't do what you're doing. Like I personally just couldn't do it. Like I work with a lot of people in the industry and I can do that. And I think that's why I do more so in the behind the scenes, like directing. So, but I've done a little acting, but just to be up there and to be under those hot lights and talk and share
Mhm.
that, it's like, oh,
Yeah, it can be nerve-wracking. Yeah.
yeah. um,
Wow.
I have this fun question I love asking everybody on the show, and there's no wrong answer, but the three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Hmm.
There's no wrong answer.
Hard. This is hard. It's either between money and respect.
Mm.
I would say money because I need some money.
Yeah.
But
That's honest. I love it.
right, right. Because I
I love
I
it.
got some bills to pay.
Sure.
But honestly, I think I would go for respect as one because I feel like when you have that respect, I think everything else comes with it. Everything else flows behind it. When people respect you, you naturally, I guess, in a sense, receive the power. When people respect you, they naturally um, trust you when it comes to monetary things. So I don't know. I think I would go for respect. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I like that. It's a great answer. It's a great answer. I mean, hey, I like, I think I do think when respect is definitely something that is great to have, and but
Mhm.
like you said, money in this earth can do a lot of
Right,
different
a
things.
lot. Go very far.
you know oh man, I was talking to someone about that, just the whole thing of society and all this stuff, and how society can put you in boxes, and the things that we aim for, and or we're told that, I don't know if it's societal pressures or social media, but the information that we're always constantly being bombarded with, like what we should look like, what we should do, how this is what success looks like, and I think it's really whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
Um, but do you feel like, as someone who's, I guess, in the news, do you feel like you know do you feel like social media and the media itself
Mhm.
is a yes, it's good, it's a good tool to stay informed and to understand what's happening, but do you feel like the news sometimes can also be, it's a powerful tool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
um do you feel like it's a positive thing,
As far as like just news, like
just in general? Yeah, do you feel like the news
or
is there
social media.
in both aspects, social
Yeah,
media?
I believe news is needed,
Right.
especially when it's honest, true, and it states facts. And that's one thing, especially nowadays, I think people kind of get mixed up when it comes to journalists and the news, or when you watch the news. We are taught, especially when we go to school, we're taught like journalism ethics and things. So we're taught to state the facts and confirm things. So I think at the end of the day, the world revolves around news. It's just right now we're in a different space where news is evolving. Rather than people turning on the TV screen, they
Mhm.
instantly pick up their phone. And I think us as journalists are trying to adapt to the changes
Mm.
that's current currently going on, and then also what we were taught when we were in school. We were taught to do things a certain way on TV or to write it a certain way, but social media has changed those things.
Yeah.
So, like I said, now you have Twitter or X, and you have Instagram, so people grab their news quicker
Yeah.
those ways instead of, like I said, instead of just turning on the TV screens. So I think right now we're just trying to adapt and trying to find new ways so that we can grab our audience and that they can trust us
Mhm.
and we can get them accurate information quickly, quicker than they can on social media, which is kind of hard
Yeah, I know.
because it's
Social
so
media,
easy.
social media is pretty
Yeah,
fast, I gotta
it's so
say.
easy to just pick up your phone. But it is, I would say news is needed. We are important. And I would say it's an important industry.
Yeah.
It's a long running industry that has been around for years. It's
Yeah.
just, like I said, it's just a lot of changes going on. And I think we just have to adapt to the changes that are going on to remind people, like, hey, we're here and,
Yeah.
tune in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, it's a very good point you make. Um, Also, like, as far as like when it comes to covering certain like disasters or mass shootings or whatever it is that you're covering, like I'm sure that a lot of preparation goes into it, but like what kind of preparation goes into reporting on those kind of high pressure events?
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of the time, there's really not any preparation going into it
Really?
because we're
Wow.
really kind of just thrown out there. Like, there's been, okay, one example. This is not here while I've been working here at Birmingham, but my first station, I worked at 44 News in Evansville, Indiana.
Mhm.
It was April 2023. I was going into work. I was doing my hair and my makeup. I get
Yeah.
a call from my news director, and he says, "Hey, we're gonna send one of the photogs to pick you up from your apartment, and
Uh-huh.
we need y'all to go drive to Louisville, Kentucky." And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "Look, what, drive to Louisville, Kentucky? That's an hour and a half away." I'm like, "Why are we going over there?" He's like,
Wow.
"There's a mass shooting that just happened at the Old National Bank. We need you to go." They're having press conferences because they were so close in proximity to Evansville, Indiana. They wanted a local reporter there to cover it instead of us depending on a sister station there. So I say, okay. So I'm like trying to finish my makeup. The photographer, he's outside. He's like, hey, come on. I literally had to pack up my stuff. And we get on the road. We head straight out there. While we're driving an hour and a half, that's when I'm able to look at the emails that we're receiving regarding updates. Because we've also reached out to Louisville Metro PD and on our own and things like that. So I'm learning through emails that we're receiving and through the officials that we've reached out to. I'm making calls asking like, hey, I'm calling like a whole different city. I don't know anybody in Louisville. So I'm calling them and I'm like, I'm not really prepared, but I have to prepare myself because once that camera turns on, I have to make sure
Mm.
I
Yeah.
know the facts and I have to be confident when I'm saying the facts because otherwise people aren't going to believe me. And I just have to know my material. So when we get there, we find out where the press conference is being held. We go into the press conference and we get the information there. And then they want a live hit from me for the 4 p.m. So at that time, I think I have like 30 minutes. We go out to the area to set
Wow.
up for a live shot, and I instantly just get to talk and I say what I wrote down, my notes, and what they said in a press conference, and that's just how it goes. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's sometimes it can be very quick. And another example, when I was in Evansville, Indiana, we had a case. I'm not sure if you heard about Vicky White, Casey White.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. They ended up crashing a car in Evansville, Indiana.
Wow.
And that's I think Vicky White, she died inside the car. I think it was a gunshot wound, I believe. I'm come back to the station and I'm putting my story together. And then my producer I was working with, she texts me and she's like, "Hey, we need to send you out to a high speed chase." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm not thinking anything of it. She was like, "Can you go like right now?" So I pack up the car and I head to where they're telling me to go. I get a text from a friend of mine that was a anchor in Huntsville, Alabama at the time because we went to school, we graduated together, and she was a part of our sister station. She
Mhm.
texted me. She said, "Hey, is there any regarding this case with
Mhm.
Casey White and Vicky White?" And I'm like, "What is she talking about?" Because I've heard it a couple before.
Yeah,
What was she
right.
talking about? Because nobody at the station told me anything regarding this. Like, and we've been
Wow.
following the case, but for some reason, it didn't click that this is probably something related. So I'm
Sure.
like, what is she talking about? And she's like, yeah, you're our sister station, and we kind of just needed some information. I know you're in Evansville. So then I call our producer, and I'm like, hey, what is this high-speed chase? Who is involved?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she says, well, we believe it's Vicky White and Casey White, but we have not confirmed it just yet. Are you there at the scene? And I'm like,
Mhm.
no. So as I'm on my way, I run into traffic because it's a whole thing. So they were just like, well, we need you to go live at the top. Like right now, we're going to do a cut in. Like, we need you to go live. How close are you to the scene? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I pull over on the side of the road, and then there was a whole nother news station behind me. They pull over behind me. I jump out of the car, I grab my camera, I grab my book
Oh
bag,
my
and
gosh.
I'm running, like running straight across.
Wow.
While I'm running, one of the sheriff deputies are yelling, like they're saying, like, no, you have to run around, go around. So me and another reporter were running out of breath. I set up, and I'm on the phone with the producer, and she's like, hey, we got 20 minutes. Like, can you go live? Can you do a live hit? And I'm like, yes. I have little information though. Can
Wow.
you give me some information? What can I say? She was like, just say what you see. Just say what you see. Don't confirm anything. Just say what you see. And I'm like, okay. So I literally just get on scene, prop up the camera. Luckily, one of our photographers is on his way too. He finds me. This was by the grace of God. Finds me, and we set up and we do my live hit. And girl, I looked a hot mess. My hair was all, but I did. I said what I saw on the scene. I
I
didn't.
love
I confirmed everything, and it ended up working out. I was out of breath, but
it.
it was. That's just kind of how it is sometimes. Like, you just gotta say what you see, and the information that you can confirm, you
Yeah.
say. You don't ever want to say anything that you cannot confirm. You don't want to say anything that's not true, because at the end of the day, we're news. People trust. They're supposed to trust us, and if you
Yeah.
say anything wrong, that trust is lost. So you just sometimes in those instances, you don't have time for preparation, but in those moments, you just got to take a step back, take a deep breath, and
Yeah.
say, hey, what you can do is say what you see, because what you see is not wrong.
Yeah.
Say what you see.
Exactly.
And the things that you can confirm already, that you have confirmed, then you can say that information. But as time goes on, then the news continues to develop. So that's just kind of how that is.
Oh man. Yeah, no, that wow. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's amazing. Have you had moments of like um that like just that were kind of scary moments as a news reporter like because you're putting yourself
Yeah,
out there and you know that you're a woman, you're a beautiful woman at that, so I'm
thank
sure
you,
you
thank you.
get
Yeah,
those some people that are very kind of creepy.
yeah,
How do you handle that?
yeah. I have not had too many. I don't think I've had really an instance here while I was in Birmingham. Because what helps, I mean, while I am in Birmingham, because what helps is I work with a photographer, so I'm never by myself right now. My first market in Evansville, Indiana, I did have some instances because I was by myself as an MMJ.
Mhm.
But whenever those instances occurred, I instantly either went to the executive producer that was at work or called them, or I would instantly call my news director at the time and say, hey, this made me uncomfortable, or hey, this situation happened. And I will say, they definitely had my back, and they kind of either spoke up for me or called that official or called somebody to give me help, or just say, hey, get out of that situation right now. If you feel uncomfortable, we want you out of it. And I think with me speaking up kind of helped others as well, because it's kind of like you got to reconsider everything, say, hey, all right, does everybody else feel uncomfortable, or does everybody else feel comfortable? Okay, yes, no. So
Mhm.
what can we do to change things? So one of the big things was they never, especially where I am now at CBS 42, we never go live by ourselves. We're never by ourselves. We have a photographer with us. And the photographers that we work with, at least that I work with, the two that I work with, very protective.
Good, good,
They do not
good.
let anything happen to us. They don't let people get too close to us,
Yeah.
unless it's good intentions, obviously, but they keep their head on the swivel. at my first market, when I did have instances where I did feel a little uncomfortable, I would let my news director know, and he would say, "Okay, well, we're going to send you out with a photographer now," or they would make sure that we didn't go live by ourselves. So
Mm,
it just depends. I wouldn't say I've had super scary experiences like I know some people have, and
yeah.
thank God for that. But I've had some moments where I was like, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I was blessed with management, still blessed with management that do
keeps you
something.
safe. That's great. That's great. Um, what do you think do you see as far as like the future of journalism like heading and especially the growth of like digital media? Where do you think
Yeah,
you see that going?
I have no idea. I really don't. Because I mean, when you think about it, people really don't even watch TV anymore.
It's true.
Especially like cable. I don't even have cable.
Yeah, same.
I watch news on the Roku. So it's kind of like you really like streaming. It's really that's what news and journalism is heading towards. But I think we need to use social media
Mhm.
as a tool
Yeah.
instead of being scared of it. Even myself, like being like, okay, I wish people would turn on the TV instead of having those thoughts and just say, okay, well, how can we work with what we have to make
Yeah.
people want to watch us, to make people want to tune in?
Yeah.
But as far as what it would look like in the future, I really have no idea. But I really hope our industry will fight through and flourish
Yeah.
despite the changes that are happening. And I really hope that we can just use the tools that we do have. Use social media, use Instagram, use X, use Facebook, use whatever resources that we can to get people to want to hear from us,
Yeah.
and kind of just bring it back to how it used to be in a sense, but just in a new way and just give it a new look.
Yeah.
How is that going to be? I'm not sure. But I'll just keep looking into it personally. I'm like, okay, how can I use these platforms to make people intrigued to want to hear what's going on in Birmingham, to want to hear it from us, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. No, it's that's great. Yeah, for sure. Um, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey and what really quick, what advice would you give to up and coming newscasters that want to get into
Yeah,
this business?
I would just say just keep going, especially if you are passionate and you want to get into journalism, if you want to become a TV news reporter, if you want to become whatever you want to become when it comes to broadcast journalism. Keep going, especially if you know in your heart this is something that you want to do. Don't let nobody tell you can't do it, because trust me, I've been told a few times, no matter if you're shy, introverted, no matter if you have a speech impediment, if you feel like you can't talk, keep going. Do not let nobody stop you. Don't let nobody tell you no.
Yeah,
Keep going, because you'll look just like how I am right now. You'll look like me. You'll do it if you
absolutely.
just keep going. So, yeah, that's what I would tell people, especially young girls. Yeah, just keep going.
Oh, I love that. Just keep going. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And where can people find you on social media to
Yeah.
follow everything you got going on?
Yeah, so my Instagram is News with Sidney, and it's Sidney with an I, not a Y. So you can do News with Sidney, and then also Facebook, Sidney Spencer. I have a news page, and I also have a personal page. But my personal page, I just post news stuff, so it's kind of boring, anyways. You can add me on there, and we can be friends.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
yes,
Thank you again for your time. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
thank you for reaching out.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.